An archaeologist's dream destination, the result of over 250 million years of tectonic shifts and intense geological changes, the Blyde River Canyon. Our destination this week is also the third largest canyon in the world, after the Grand Canyon in the US and the Fish River Canyon in neighboring Namibia.
When most of southern Africa was covered by a desert, complete with sand dunes and a bit like the Sahara today. And then at about that time, huge forces in the earth, currents of magma pushing up, started cracking the continents. Over time, a kilometer of lava that was extruded, forming this very hard layer on the surface. And what's left of that, it's been eroded away ever since, is the Drakensberg today, that we see today. And then that has been eroded away to form the Blyde River Canyon.
It's also widely regarded as the largest green canyon on Earth due to its lush subtropical foliage. Approximately 26 kilometers in length, with an average depth of 762 meters, the canyon offers spectacular vistas and landforms, as well as the canvas for this week's road trip. While the canyon is regarded as a top bucket list destination for many, the business behind the canyon makes it so much more than just another tourist destination. The canyon region has been earmarked for 3 projects which are set to form part of the South African government's 18 National Strategic Infrastructure Projects, or SIPs. Adopted in 2012, the SIPs are geared towards economic transformation and job creation across the region and the country. A 50-kilometer drive from the town of Graskop, the Blyde River Canyon is a focal point in the Mpumalanga province and a good base to explore the rest of the region from. The first stop on the drive is Pinnacle Point. 6 kilometers north of Graskop, this towering buttress rises around 30 meters from the forest on the edge of the Drakensberg escarpment. To its right is the first of 8 small waterfalls along the Ngwarantsane River. The iconic God's Window is a few kilometers further on. Named for the breathtaking view of the Lowveld more than 900 meters below, and at 1,829 meters above sea level, it's possible to see both the Kruger National Park and Mozambique on a clear day.
It's probably one of the largest natural viewing points from a panoramic point of view in the world. I think that in itself lends itself to so much that we can actually generate a destination for and make it part of the South African must-do list for any tourist.
God's Window is also the location of the first of the canyon's 3 SIPs-related projects. The planned skywalk is a cantilevered glass walkway that will protrude around 15 meters from an elevated viewpoint, giving a 360 panoramic view, creating the feeling of being suspended or hovering in the air, courtesy of large glass panels on the floor and sides of the walkway.
The vision of the God's Window was developed by a gentleman called Campbell Scott. And I think a lot of tribute needs to be given to him in terms of what has been done to date.
The concept has been adopted by a number of international tourist attractions, including the famous Sky Tower in New Zealand and the Grand Canyon Skywalk in the USA.
The key is to generate a destination and not just an attraction, which the Grand Canyon has quite successfully done. If you look at the visitor numbers there, they're close to 800,000 people per annum, whereas at the moment in Grand Canyon, we're hitting 130,000. So there's vast scope, and the natural beauty of the God's Window, it just lends itself to get to that number in future.
With an estimated investment value of 70 million rand, the land claimant communities of the Blyde River Canyon are set to benefit from the project through the receipt of shareholding in the project and employment opportunities.
We estimate that there would be around 130 direct and indirect jobs created. This means not only those involved in the construction of the project itself, but also those in the supply chain that are involved in providing the materials and the jobs that were created in other parts of the construction sector. We then looked at the impact of the operation of the proposed attraction, and we came up with, I think, around 50 full-time employees upon delivery of the project, and also a number of, again, induced and indirect jobs. primarily in the hospitality sector. For instance, with increased tourism flow, there will be a need for more hotels and hotel staff and suppliers of goods and trades.
Moving on from God's Window, the drive along the R532 towards the Blyde River Canyon starts to reveal more of the area's visual and historic splendor. The name of the canyon itself has historic significance. In 1822, a four-tracker expedition to Delagoa Bay, now known as Maputo, went missing. The rest of their party named the nearby river where they were encamped the Trier River or Morning River, the first river we cross as we near the canyon. Upon their safe return, however, they named the next river they came to a mere kilometer further the Blyde or Happy River. Symbolically, the Blyde and Trier rivers converge at another iconic landmark, the Bourke's Potholes, which also marks the start of the Blyde River Canyon and is home to the second of the canyon's economically focused projects. Named after a local prospector, Tom Bourke, who incorrectly predicted the presence of gold in the rivers, Bourke's Potholes features a number of cylindrical potholes or giant kettles which can be viewed from the crags above. These potholes in the Trier River's plunge pools are created by underwater vortexes caused when rapidly rushing water passes underwater obstacles and churns out bits of the rock. Planned for Bourke's Potholes is an 80-room, 5-star hotel and restaurant facility to cater for the shortage of luxury accommodation in the area. 100 million rand is being utilized for the development of the hotel and a further 35 million rand for the adjacent restaurant. The land claimant communities in the canyon will once again be beneficiaries of the project, with an estimated 150 direct and 50 indirect SMME-related jobs established from the development project. The road trip along the top of the canyon is spectacular as the road winds from viewpoint to viewpoint. It's at the last of these viewpoints, with the Blyde Dam unfolding below, that we come to the third of the projects planned for the region. A cable car that transports tourists from the top of the escarpment over 4 kilometers down to the peninsula in the middle of the Blyde Dam.
This is an exciting project. We learned about this a few months ago, and we understand that the history goes back 20-30 years. People have been mooting this idea around. The site running from up near the Three Rondavels down across the reservoir to the lower below is stunning. In terms of scenery, it's unsurpassable. The journey would be around 4.2 kilometers, I believe, and provide stunning views, 360-degree views.
Associated with the planned cableway are essential ancillary or secondary tourism products to provide sufficient experiences for tourists, including guided and interpreted boat trips along the dam, a visitor centre on the peninsula, as well as passive and adventure activities. For a better perspective, we took a trip down to the Lowveld in order to take a look from below. The trip is around 85 kilometers and the drive down the escarpment through the iconic Straightom Tunnel spectacular, with views of towering cliffs and massifs. The approach to the Blyde Dam is something sure to appeal to all. Looking up, it's possible to get another perspective of the scale of the project, as well as a glimpse of its potential. 270 million rand is being invested into the project, aimed at local and international self-drive visitors attracted to combined experiences, as well as tour groups en route to the Kruger National Park. From a job creation perspective, 150 people are set to benefit from both a direct and indirect perspective. From winding rivers to rocky roads, the Blyde River Canyon, together with its 3 SIPS-related projects, is not only geared towards transforming the area, but the Mpumalanga province as well, making it more than just another tourist spot on the map.
A significant natural feature of South Africa and soon to be home of 3 exciting new projects is the Blyde River Canyon. Christine Engelbrecht, head of the Tourism Strategic Business Unit at the IDC, joins us for more. Christine, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Now, we've heard from the insert that there are 3 SIPS-aligned projects to be launched in the Blyde River Canyon, and arguably the most exciting is the 360-degree skywalk set to be put out in God's Window. Now, a project of this size and scale needs a proper feasibility study, and the IDC has contracted ACOM to do this.
Yes.
What have some of the key findings been?
Yeah, the ACOM feasibility study has shown that there's a definite demand for a project like this, and that it will enhance the panorama route, which is the route between Joburg and the Kruger National Park. The feasibility study shows attractive returns for investors, and will definitely be enhancement for the local communities, but also for the overall tourism industry.
Now, it's an international concept that has now been adapted to the South African market. How much work goes into taking a concept of this size and scale and making it suitable for the local market?
Yeah, that is, I mean, obviously the concept originated and was modeled on the Grand Canyon skywalk in Nevada in the USA. Mm-hmm. But now you have to see what scale and what relevance will it have for the local environment. And yeah, a detailed feasibility which took about 6 months to do with really ground roots research work being done was conducted by ACOM to establish what is the requirements within the South African environment.
Now, there's feasibility, and then there's environmental impact and an environmental impact assessment. How far has this process gone, and when can we expect the findings to be announced?
We've just commenced with the environmental impact assessment, which is obviously the purpose is to see what will the impact on the environment be, and will it still be friendly to the environment whilst enhancing the product offering. We are expecting the results or the final decision around May next year, May 2014.
Now, from an economic perspective, the skywalk obviously is being set up in a quite closely knit community in the Blyde River Canyon. From an economic perspective, what will the impact be on the surrounding community, and especially from a job creation perspective?
Yeah. There's the construction jobs. During about a year's construction period, there will be job creation in that aspect. Thereafter, also the direct jobs. The intention is that there will be a small restaurant and other activities, other facilities like a craft centre and so on around that. So over and above just the admissions and the entrance fee and the tickets, there will be those opportunities. Also small business opportunities in terms of tours and so on. The project will be located on community land, so the community will benefit through some kind of arrangement, either equity in the project or alternatively a lease agreement from which they will benefit directly. And also I think the spin-off for the greater community is that these three projects will lengthen the stay of a visitor in that area, whereas currently they only pass through to go to Kruger or somewhere else. They will probably stay over. So small accommodation facilities in the area will also directly and indirectly benefit from this project.
Now, you mentioned the visitors, and it's all about getting them to the attraction. Who is your intended target market for this? What is the split between international and local, and how do you intend on targeting and identifying and getting these people to visit the Blyde River Canyon?
I mean, for something like this, your immediate community, so people staying within an hour's drive of the facility, is always your primary market. But it is not far from Joburg, Gauteng area. So the domestic market will definitely form quite a large part of the market, but it is also a very popular route for international tourists. Together with tour operators, they already pass through there on a regular basis. So it's both local and international market.
Now that's the end result and the plans you're hoping for. It's now in its feasibility phase. What's the next step? What is the time horizon for this project? When can visitors start going to the 360 Skywalk?
The construction, after we receive get the EIA approval, the construction, well, we need to put together the final designs and concepts with a professional team. Then construction will commence in 2015 and it will likely open in 2016.